I analyzed Ted Bundy's face with AI, and this is what I found. Ted Bundy was an American serial killer who kidnapped, raped, and murdered numerous young women during the 1970s and possibly earlier. After more than a decade of denials before his execution in 1989, he confessed to 30 homicides that he committed in 7 states between 1974 and 1978. There has always been a fascination with Bundy's face expressions. He doesn't look menacing, and combined with the fact that he was usually well-mannered and polite, that's one of the reasons he earned the trust of so many victims. But we can use today's technology to analyze the progression of how his face changed throughout the years, and those changes are reflected in a number of ways. For example, we know that emotions usually appear in the form of wrinkles, but emotions can also affect the shape of face muscles, fat deposits, shape of softer tissue, and more. In Ted Bundy's case, there was always a push to make a full smile no matter what he was being asked. But a close inspection determines that there were inconsistencies when he was pressed about his innocence. Also, the eyelids can show when a person is relaxed or tense, no matter the situation. And a close measure of Bundy's eyelids during his trial showed that he was actually really stressed at that moment, sort of facing the real possibility of being sent to death row. At other times, and despite the fact that Bundy had a very strong gaze, his eyelids were usually relaxed. It seems that he was confident in proving his innocence until the very last moment. There's another fact about the human face. Our lips change as we age, and any expression that includes our mouth will shift intensity throughout the years. Bundy's lips had an odd characteristic. They were unusually thin at 40, but the explanation is clear when we analyze the way his face was at resting position in those years. His lips looked thinner because he was actually pressing them, and we can tell by the interviews where he keeps them pressed and thin. That shows that he was no longer confident about himself and reinforces the theory that he was actually scared about what could happen. If you want my complete guide on facial expressions, check the link here. So one question arises. If Ted Bundy was a psychopath, was he feeling fear? We know that psychopaths have limitations on feeling these emotions, so what was Bundy showing in those pictures? And for that, it also helps to detect the amount of tension on his neck and the way it translates to his smile, head orientation, and voice tone. And that's how you can spot that the right word to define Bundy's emotion was being upset. He was really angry about being caught and facing the possibility of going to the electric chair. Maybe you don't have a software to help you detect when someone can be a threat to you, but I've got 3 tips that can help boost your intuition. First, make a habit of observing people's facial features. It's important that you pay attention to the way their faces express their emotions as they speak. Second, stay alert of any changes in behavior. For example, if the person suddenly lowers their voice tone or pushes their head back. And third, be especially aware of their reaction just after you ask a question. Did they answer naturally or they stumbled with their words? Who should be analyzed next? Write your suggestion in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe if you don't want to miss any of my body language analysis and tips.